you left.
The liberation of mutant kind has begun.
Welcome to the future.
Who's this clown?
Not clown. Joker.
Avengers!
Assemble.
Nobody tampers with the equipment except Tony Stark. Good idea.
United, the Avengers are strong.
Hawkeye, hands off.
Fool! Have you forgotten my invincible magnetic power?
Not this time, Magneto.
My mutant brain senses danger.
Something unseen is slowly spreading its poison, edging tempers.
Think carefully before you do this.
You filthy criminals.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And we're live, episode 34 of Two Fat Guys Pool List. Welcome.
Coffee.
Welcome. Yeah, coffee. I'm drinking coffee, and I don't drink coffee. So yeah, we're live. This is episode 34. We got some decent books this week, but before we get into the books, we're going to take care of a little bit of news, a little bit of business, like we always do. First off, yeah, business. First off, we're going to talk about Two Fat Guys Pool List Mystery Pool, a monthly comic book subscription service sponsored by Collected Comics and Games and Brainy Comics in Fort Worth, Texas. So that's where we're from. We're in the DFW area, and that is our LCS where we buy our comics. So we have partnered up. Yep, we have partnered up with Ron over at Collected to bring our viewers this subscription service. So what you get in the box is like most of the other subscription services out there, but still it's pretty unique. So you usually get 1 to possibly 2 store exclusives, and then 4 to 7 back issues, consisting anywhere from bronze, silver, or modern age books, and then you get a chance to win a big key that we're giving away. So the key for the month of March is, Nate's seen something out of the corner of his eye.
Keep doing your thing.
The key for this month, we're not last month we gave away Venom number 9, first appearance of Dylan Brock. This month we are giving away for the month of March a 9.8 CBCS graded Department of Truth number 1 by Tinian, and this book is on fire right now. It just got picked up for either a movie or show deal. We don't know quite yet, but it has been.
And it might have changed since last week.
It have?
Can I win this? Can I enter?
No, you cannot.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, you cannot win this. But this is the key that you could win. And you know, we're still a young subscription service, so go to brainycomics.com. I think Nate can put that in the chat, the link. And you know, just if you enter, you could win this. You know, we usually don't give away slabs, but we're giving away this slab this week or this month. So there is that. And then also the store exclusive for this month, for the month of March, is Joker number 1, a Neil Adams variant with Joker. Pretty sick variant. I think it's worth about $15 to $20, so that's already a good chunk of the book, or chunk of the service right there, which is pretty nice. So that is our subscription service box for March. The other thing we want to talk about really quick, if you know, if you're watching this live, we do have a YouTube channel that has YouTube exclusive content on it and our past episodes. If you're watching this on YouTube, what we'd love for you to do is subscribe. Hit that subscribe button and hit that bell. But you know what? We're gonna sweeten the pot a little bit. So right now we're doing we're doing a giveaway currently on our YouTube channel. So go over to YouTube, type in Two Fat Guys Pool List. Go ahead and subscribe, and if you are already subscribed, you're already entered to win our current giveaway. And we're actually giving away 4 slabs, and when we hit certain milestones, we're giving away a slab. So when we hit 100 subscribers, we are giving away this 9.6 CGC graded Wolverine Origins number 2. Very beautiful cover. This is the Canadian variant. It's the 1 in 50 as well. Canadian. Then, when we hit 250 subscribers, we're giving away this 9.8 CGC graded Dark Knight's Metal tie-in, the the Batman Who Laughs number 1. So this is his first book. Like, this isn't his first appearance, but like, I think this is his first cover appearance, I believe. I'm not sure.
No, not his cover, because he's on his origin, or his first appearance. He's on that book.
Oh, okay. And
this is like his first like lead title book.
Gotcha. And it's a foil cover. It's all good. It's a sick book. So nice, beautiful Batman Who Laughs #1 tie-in. So after that, at 500 subscribers, we will be giving away a 9.4 CGC graded Wolverine #1, his first ongoing series from 1988, with a custom CGC label. I really don't want to give this away, but if we hit 500 subscribers, we have to give it away. Like, this is the whole point. So you could win this when we hit 500 subscribers. And then there's the big boy. So me and Nate talked about this, and Nate was like, "There's no way. There's no way of giving that away." I was like, "Oh, is that a dare? Is that a double dog dare?" So, and Nate also, you cannot enter to win this.
See, that was my next question.
Nope. At 1,000 subscribers, which we'd love to hit. Say what?
What am I doing here?
Shut up. Anyway, so when we hit 1,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel, which we're hoping to hit at the end of this year if possible, we're going to give away a 9.8 CBCS graded Original Sin Amazing Spider-Man #4 first appearance of Silk. So this will be the book that we give away. And this is another hot key book that has some potential. You know, she may show up in the Spider-Verse. She may show up in her own show or movie. We don't know, but there is definite buzz around this character. So at 1,000 subscribers, we will be giving away this amazing key. So that being said, again, if you're watching this on YouTube or if you're watching us live right now and you're not subscribed to Two Fat Guys Pull List on YouTube, go ahead and go over there real quick. Nate's put it in the chat. And yeah, let's get the show started. So
super easy on you.
Oh, super easy. So, pretty decent week. I mean, I wouldn't say it was an A week. It was probably a B, maybe a
solid
I'd say
B.
Solid B, yeah. So we're gonna, yeah. So we're gonna kick off the show with our King in Black tie-ins with Savage Avengers #19, which I believe is the last tie-in into the King in Black event for Savage Avengers.
Yes.
Did you get a chance to read this?
No.
Okay. So, we're going to be fairly quick on some books and a little bit more lengthy on others. This one's going to be kind of a fairly quick to medium-sized review. We last left off Deadpool and Conan, and I can't remember the other name of the other character in it, the guy that flies. They broke into one of the mansions that the X-Men owned or owns, and so the X-Men are laundering money through this mansion, and so they want to go steal the money. I can't exactly remember why they want to steal the money, but they need money.
It's the Hellfire Club, right?
Right, but I don't remember why they need the money. I can't remember.
No, I was just saying that's where the money is coming from.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So we left off with that, and when they got into the mansion, they were basically held up by Callisto, Iceman, somebody else, Bishop, and at the end of the last issue, Conan supposedly killed Iceman, like shattered him into pieces. So that's where we pick up, and so he didn't kill Iceman. Iceman actually regenerates. And is like, I tried to play nice, but now I really need to kick your ass. And so the fight ensues. At some point, Deadpool gets thrown off of off the building, off the side of the mansion, or no, that's later on. I'm sorry, I'm skipping ahead. They get into a giant fight, and at one point, like it's a stalemate essentially. They're able to come to terms, and Bishop is able to recruit Conan and Deadpool and the other character to help them try to rescue Storm and Cyclops.
Okay.
Because at this point they haven't been rescued. So it's like a heist basically. It's a smash and grab. And so if they're successful or if they help, Bishop agrees to give them a duffel bag worth of money for helping them. So they basically go and try to save them, and they get their asses handed to them by Cyclops and Storm, to the point where, like, the comedic relief in this book, again, is hilarious. Gary is just, you know, he knows how to write Deadpool, right? Like, he knows the comedic flows of the character. And so whenever things are getting a little too serious, Deadpool's always there to kind of just lighten the mood. And at one point, they're attacking Cyclops, or nullified Cyclops, which they're essentially talking to Null. And they're like, hey, you know, we've got the situation set. And Callisto goes, hey, where's Storm? And I think Deadpool's like, I hear thunder. And they're like, shit, you were supposed to be keeping an eye on Storm. And literally Storm zaps Deadpool. And before he gets zapped, Callisto's like, you know, you're holding like metal rods in the air essentially with their swords. And so he gets zapped, which I think is hilarious. Like, he just gets fried. And I think at that point he gets shot. At one point he gets shot off the roof. And Conan's able to save Callisto, but not Deadpool, and Deadpool just falls to his death, or doesn't really die. But essentially, what happens is they get overwhelmed, and in order for them to escape, like, there's no way they're going to be able to save Cyclops and Storm. Conan has a conversation with Iceman where he's like, "You're not a mutant. You're like, I've seen your kind before. You are a descendant of a frost giant. Do your thing. Like, stop playing around. Stop trying to be this mutant. You are a frost giant." And it kind of motivates Iceman to the point where he actually becomes a frost giant. Like, he unleashes a huge ice storm and just goes ham while the others escape. And he wrecks. And then they get back to the Hellfire mansion. And they're like, hey, thanks for helping us. It clearly didn't work, so here's your money, bye. And so Deadpool and the other Fly Guy character get their money, but Conan refuses money. All he wants is he wants to talk to Wolverine. So at the end of the issue, Wolverine shows up and says, hey, I hear you wanted to talk to me. And Conan says, yeah, I just want to let you know, you need to let the former owners of this house know that this is mine now. Like, this is my house. I am taking over this house. And Logan's kind of like, okay, I don't really have time for this shit, but I'll let Emma Frost know. So good luck. And so that's how the issue ends. It had more King in Black elements to it than it did the previous issue. But overall, this issue ended fairly quickly, and like I said before, like, I want to jump on the Savage Avengers train.
Right.
And I think I will, but this book actually didn't really help the cause of me actually picking it up. I mean, I thought the writing was great. I thought the character development was great. But, the past two King in Black tie-ins, I was like, oh man, this book is so good. And this one was kind of like, this felt like a very rushed ending. So, I don't know. I mean, it was cool. I will say, Venomized Cyclops and Storm were kick-ass in this book. Like, Cyclops as a nullified version of himself is scary as fuck. Like, he's got this.
You can even tell from the cover.
Yeah, he's just like always sinister and grinning and like like he's gonna rip the cord and kill you at some point. Like, it just doesn't didn't matter at that point. So anyway, I give it a solid B- for a tie-in. And I think the actual King in Black tie-in action helped it in the sense of being part of a tie-in book. But I don't think this issue for me helped me wanting to pick up Savage Avengers, but I probably will.
Gotcha.
But that's that.
This is one that I think, would be perfect for a trade, just to pick them up as you go. And if you like the first one, get the second. If you like the second, get the third, and just kind of go with it. But I know how you love hunting your singles.
Yeah, I do, man. Like, that's my only problem with picking up singles is not only do I have to get the single, I got to get that cover A. Like, that's my stupid quirk, is just I have to get the cover A. Like,
that's what you like as a collector. That's nothing wrong with that.
So that is Savage Avengers 19. Nice. Next up, our second King in Black tie-in, Scream number 1. I know nothing about this character at all.
No.
Outside of the Planet of the Symbiotes little blip that she had in the first issue.
Right.
So, I don't know. Like, let me check something really quick. Now we're good. I don't know. This issue was fun, but I have no real tie to the character to the point where I was kind of like, meh. You know, I bought it. I essentially bought this book for the collection to have every King in Black tie-in.
It's not a bad cover.
No, it's a good cover, and you know the story was good. I felt very lost because I just don't know the character that well, or if at all.
Right.
Essentially, what happens? Did you read this one either, or no?
I fell asleep reading this one at like 4 o'clock today.
That's hilarious. So Shriek, there's a little like a story, and I don't know when this happened. I don't know if this happened in Absolute Carnage or in Maximum Carnage. I have no idea when this happened.
Okay.
But essentially, what happens is Shriek gets turned into a demigorg or demigorgon or
that's Stranger Things.
I don't know what it's called. She basically gets turned into a demon.
Okay.
Carnage ripped her spine out, and she got sacrificed and turned into like a goblin venom character, which I think actually exists within the actual Spider-Man comic. Anyway, that's what happens in this, and so she's like abducting little children to, I don't know exactly what to do what, but she's kidnapping kids in the middle of this event, and so Scream is trying to go after her, and that's that first half of the book is her fighting Shriek, and then before she can finish her off, Noel actually shows up and confronts Scream and is like, "Oh, you're the thorn in my side that's not Venom, you're Scream." And so they have a very like back and forth dialogue about how basically Scream's host, the human, has corrupted the symbiote, and so he's gonna fix it. He's gonna eliminate the symbiote, or eliminate the host, whoever the girl is in Scream, and take back the symbiote. And so it's just like a back and forth fight, and she's actually kind of holding her own. And then Scream, I guess, in Absolute Carnage, and then her current series that is no longer running, she has, and again, I could be wrong in this, she may have had this power forever, but she has this hellfire power that shoots actual flames out of her chest. Like she has like a pentagram on her chest. Yeah. And so she's able to fend off Noel by doing that and actually damaging him. To the point where at the end of the book, basically, he's like, "I don't got time for you. I've got other things to deal with," aka Dylan Brock and probably Eddie Brock, so peace out. And so that's how the issue essentially ends, is she's able to fend off Noel, and she knows that she can actually hurt him. So I wouldn't be surprised if in King in Black 5 we see like a glimpse of Scream using her hellfire powers to fend off either dragons or Noel, or like, "Hey, I can help too." You know, who knows?
Be involved in some way.
Yeah, I think we're gonna see that with a lot of these tie-ins. So like even in, like I didn't say in the Savage Avengers one, like they call back to, you know, the Marauders King in Black tie-in and where like Bishop was prior to that fight. So I would not be surprised if we see her later on in the book. I mean, we have one book left, and we get it in like 2 weeks. We were actually supposed to get King in Black 5 this week, and then it got pushed back. So I've got some Donny Cates withdrawals for sure. But overall, I mean, it was a good book, but I felt incredibly lost because I just don't know this character and I don't know her backstory. But I'm not going to let that tell me that it's not a good book. Like, it was enjoyable. I just wish I knew more.
Right.
So that's Scream number 1.
Nice.
All right. Now we're going to kick into our X books. We're going to start off with Cable number 9. You know, this series has felt, I wouldn't say as it's felt like it's been moving at a snail's pace, but the tempo of the book has been very stretched out. Yes. And not in a bad way. But now that we know that it's going to end at issue 12, this book goes from 0 to 60 fairly quickly. Because now we, like, as readers, and I think as Dugan, he knows that it's over. Like, we gotta hurry up and wrap this thing up. And I gotta wonder if that was a recent decision or if it was always planned to be at 12.
Yeah, I'm curious though as well. I don't know.
So, essentially, the book opens with Cable and Esme on an AIM submarine. And basically AIM got too close to Krakoa, so they're gonna fuck with it. Yep. And so they're on like this mini date, if you will, sabotaging the AIM sub. So that's how the book opens. And I really enjoyed Comic Book Herald's video about this book, like the breakdown. And you know, I liked he basically had, you know, this perspective of Cyclops being able to play father to Cable, which he's never really been able to do.
Right.
And so, you know, he sent him on this little mini mission, and so when they come back, he's like, "Hey kids, how'd it go?" And like, you would never hear Cyclops talk like that. So it's kind of nice to be able to see Scott Summers like be able to stretch his legs and actually be a fatherly figure rather than just like a completely messed up individual who's extremely selfish.
Right.
You know, he's able to like actually be a dad, and so that's kind of what we see at the beginning of this book. And then Cable ditches Esme and Emma Frost and Cyclops because Strife is just on his mind. He just can't shake this mystery, the missing mutant babies and clones of Cable and Strife in general. And so this book is basically Cable going to telepaths and Wolverine and anybody that has any form of searching ability to find Strife. And what's up, Maddie?
Yo.
The weird toilet paper. Yeah, we'll talk about it later, Maddie. You know, and so that you know, clearly that's where this is going. We're going to end the Strife missing and or finding Strife is going to be the main archetype of how this book is going to end, and I think it's going to be the downfall of young Cable, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think that's going to push him towards old Cable. Like, you know, we've been seeing glimpses of old Cable this entire book. And I think that's probably how how this story is going to end up, is an accumulation of young Cable, old Cable, and Strife all ending up together. And I think this is how they're probably going to pull young Cable out of the story for a while. You know, they're going to, have him stuck in the time stream or something crazy like that, chasing after Strife, and then old man Cable is gonna, I think, be present on Krakoa for a while.
Well, and also, like, you know, I don't want to give I'm going to give too much away, but I'm not going to like get to the part where it gets to. But essentially, at the end of this book, young Cable is actively looking for old man Cable. Like, he's like the only person that can find Strife is old man Cable. And so like that, you know, clearly we're going to get him pretty soon. If not, I don't think we're just going to get him in issue 12. I think.
No, I don't either. I think we're going to probably get him next issue.
In issue 10. My theory is, so this is going to be a little bit of speculating. What if young Cable is Strife?
Like he's faking?
I don't know if he's faking, but he just doesn't know. Like, what if we have old man Cable, right?
Okay.
And then what if Strife isn't necessarily, because Strife's not going to be young Strife, right? It's going to be an older version of Strife. We would assume, because this is a Strife that he thought he got rid of. Yeah, that's the whole point. Is this Strife is someone that young Cable thought he mind wiped or killed.
Okay.
Right. So what, I think there might be a possibility that young Cable might be a clone of Strife. And as a young Strife, Cable, like, dude, talk about like, ugh, but
I mean, at that point, you're talking about just different clones of essentially the same.
And the only reason why I say that is because we've seen numerous data pages, and I think it's in this one, if I'm not mistaken, that talks about cloning duplicates, that talks about that talks about resurrecting duplicates and resurrecting clones. And so I feel like if there's a curveball anywhere to be found, it's that young Cable doesn't know that he's actually young Cable Strife. I could be wrong. But I think that...
saying. So you're saying we could end up in a situation where it's possible that young Cable dies and they're not going to bring him back because he's a duplicate. Or
he's a duplicate.
He's a time-traveling double. Because that's exactly what it says in there. It says the decision was that extended out to the concept of duplicates in general, that other forms, whether you're a clone, versions from an alternate dimension, or a time-traveling double, would also not be eligible for resurrection.
Correct.
So, yeah, that would be interesting. If Cable dies, young Cable dies, that's it. We're not getting young Cable back. At least we're not.
And we're not. And
I'm sure I actually would be fairly positive that Hope Summers would be like, yeah, fuck that, I'm bringing my brother back. But
right, which is also crazy because Comic Book Herald broke that down too. Apparently, like, and I'm such a novice when it comes to this. So apparently, when Old Man Cable actually saved Hope Summers at some point,
that's
and so she technically sees him as a
dad.
father, as a father figure rather than a brother. It's so fucking weird. Like,
which is why he says we both need the other guy back, because she's messed up by seeing young Cable, and he's looking for him, and he's like, she says there are firm rules about resurrecting duplicates. So what are you saying? He's saying, I'm saying we need that other guy back. Like, we need the old man back.
Interesting. And then the book ends with Old Man Cable, like, he fell in the last issue, so we don't know if he's dead, if he's broken. Like, his leg looks broken, looks fucked up. But that's this book in a nutshell. And I'm really sad to see it go because I really enjoy Cable, and
Yeah. I'm exceptionally, like, kind of not, frustrated that I'm not going to get a Phil Noto X book anymore, because honestly, when I see these characters in my head, a lot of these characters, I see them as Phil Noto's version. So any of the Cuckoo Sisters, Rachel Summers, Hope Summers, Magic, Young Cable, for some reason, just when I see them in my head, this is what they look like. And there are times where Cable will appear in a sword book or a different Ten of Swords tie-in or something, and he'll be drawn by another artist. I'm like, okay, yeah, like,
I think the only exception is probably RB or Pepe, though. Like,
I'm not saying that he draws him the best. I'm saying that's just this, for some reason, this is the version that I see in my head. I don't know why.
Yeah. I totally get that, but again, I'm kind of bummed. Like, obviously we need a X book to go away because we're getting 2.
We're gonna have 13 X books by next month.
Holy shit.
13 ongoing X books.
Yeah, so there needs to be some room. But I'm just kind of sad that it's this one and not, like, I don't know. I don't know what book. I don't know what X book. Maybe X Factor, but I like that book too.
Don't you care?
I know. I'm just saying, like, I don't know. I don't know what book it is, but there is a lot of books. But either way, this was a fun book. It wasn't my pick of the week, but it was a high contender.
It was good.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Next up, we've got Excalibur number 19. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. This is my pick of the week.
You going to ring your bell?
It's not working, but insert gong noise. Blah, I got to get it fixed. Gong. Essentially, this is my pick of the week, and it really isn't. I mean, it has action in it, but there's a lot of, like, story-driven shit that happens in this book, and it's so good. And I think this is right in Teenie Hauer's was it Lighthouse? I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Wheelhouse.
It's
in her lighthouse.
It's in her lighthouse. Well, it is in her lighthouse. They have a lighthouse in the book. But anyway, I enjoyed it. I think there's always been this mystery between Betsy and Quinn, and they've shared a body. They've shared essentially 2 minds, and so they're forever linked, right? Like, or at least we've made that assumption through the X books, and it's kind of confirmed in this. Like, every time that these 2 characters meet, Psylocke is always like, "Get the fuck away from me! I hate you! I want nothing to do with you."
Right.
And in this book, it's almost as if Psylocke has come to terms. She may not like it, but she's come to terms with the fact that Betsy and Quinn are always going to be linked. They're always going to be one. And she comes out looking really wise in this book, and I really dig it. Like, she's almost like she's accepted it finally, and now she needs to, Betsy has been reaching out to Psylocke continuously in this Excalibur run. Anytime they come together, she's like, "Hey, let's talk," and Psylocke's like, "Fuck you, bitch. I don't want to talk to you." Yeah. And so we finally kind of get a moment where the two can finally reconcile. It, in some sense, I'm not saying it's completely, rainbow and roses right now. Like, it's clearly not. Right. But Psylocke steps up to save Betsy in this book, right? Mm-hmm. And we get a confirmation that the Captain Britain Corps is not complete, obviously, because our Betsy from 616 is missing. And what we find out is that she's jumping consciousnesses through the multiverse. She's just creating chaos wherever she goes. And so that's, the only thing I can say about this book that I wish this storyline had been drawn out 2 more issues. Because I think we could have seen, we got a little bit of it with the Queen, Betsy coming in. So we did get a little taste of it, but I feel like we could have gotten, at least 2 more Betsy jumping into other versions of herself and disrupting things in the multiverse. And we might get that later. We might get
I think we will.
A repercussion thing. But anyway, in this issue, basically, we find out that Jamie did something right on purpose. A few issues back, he had Betsy's body cloned or recreated by Sinister. No, go for it.
I was just saying that I think that something terrible that he did somehow worked out to be beneficial is maybe a better way to put it.
Okay, there you go.
He definitely didn't do that with the thought process.
Hell no, not at all. That's not what I'm trying to say. It's just he did something in a selfish manner, and it ended up working out perfectly for Krakoa and Excalibur. And so, our group, Rogue, Jubilee, Gambit, Richter... I'm missing someone. Anyway, they are... Who am I missing? No? Okay. They basically... Richter wants to resurrect Betsy. They're trying to figure out a way to bring back her body. Or her physical soul to her body. And so they've set up this circle, and they're using Apocalypse's grimoire, and he's kind of scratched things out. There's a data page where he's trying to do it on his own, and it's not working because there's something not in the mix. And that's when Psylocke shows up, and she's like, it's because her soul's in distress. She doesn't want to come back. Her soul, in order for her to really be reunited with her body, she needs to have some sense of fear to go back to her body. She's too comfortable what she's doing.
Right.
And so she goes into Otherworld and tracks down her body, and they have this, multi-page therapy session. I mean,
pretty much.
Essentially, that's what they do, and I feel like this is Quinn having a growing up moment. She realizes that she needs to save Betsy. She realizes that she's putting her differences aside, and she's helping her fellow mutant. And we just haven't seen that from her in all of the new X-books since Hickman has started. She's been very conflicted. I would even say selfish. And we just don't see that in this book. Howard writes her as someone that's grown up a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I would want to point out too, just the one thing that I love about the entire X line right now is I think some of the best artwork in all of Marvel is coming in the entire X line. Some I think hit the mark better than others, but I think for this book, Marcus Toad does an exceptional job. Mm-hmm. And the part where you said, Quanon and Betsy are kind of having a therapy session. I just want to point this, or show that double page spread, just the color here and the motion. It's really hard to see on the camera, but there's 20 different shades of purple on this page, but it works so well and it looks really good.
And I'll say the cover on this book is fantastic too. I don't know. I really enjoyed it, and Howard really flexes her writing chops in this book, and I guess I'm just extremely impressed with how she wrote Psylocke. Like, you know, we like I said, like we've said before, like we get little snippets of Psylocke throughout the X books right now, where she's just really bitter, and I get that. I mean, shit, you weren't in your body forever. Like don't body was snatched from you, and you just weren't existing, and so someone else was living your life. And there's a lot you don't just get over that, you know. Like there is a growing process, and I feel like Howard really tapped into that and showed all the X readers like that she's grown up a little bit. Now, I think the tone will be different in Hellions. Like in Hellions, Sinister's holding something over Psylocke's head that she can't get away from. But in this book, it's just like I wouldn't say she's taking responsibility, but I feel like she's being the better person or the better mutant by showing Betsy the way and really clearing her mind in this book.
Yep.
So, the crazy part about this book, and again, this is a character I have no clue who it is, but what we find out is that Betsy's body was being possessed, or something is being possessed by a being called Malice, which apparently has some weight. I don't know who that character is, but when I saw people talking or commenting on Teenie Howard's post, they're like, "Oh, Malice! Like, I hope this character gets a lot more development. I really hope you write this character more." Mm-hmm. So, like, there's definitely a following and history behind the character that pops out in this book, out of Betsy. And I guess the other thing I'm interested in is, so Betsy's body is a clone from Sinister. We're assuming that her old body literally was shattered into 1,000 pieces in Ten of Swords, but I don't think we should forget that. I don't think we should forget that there's a possibility that this whole jumping bodies thing could backfire. I think, like you said, we're gonna see the ramifications of Betsy jumping through multiverses and other personalities, and I think that's where this book is headed. Yeah.
I just started reading the original Excalibur this week. All I read was the special edition graphic novel that introduces the team, and I could kind of see the glimpses just from previous covers and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But it's really cool how much this ties in and like how much it has the feel of that old 80s. I say old, but of the 80s, Excalibur run, the original run. And yeah, that was something that just kind of got brought to my attention after finally getting to that in my reading order.
Right, and it's really a shame, like, because a lot of readers and a lot of people that we watch on YouTube have dropped this book. Like, they're like, I can't do it anymore. And I feel like they dropped off either too early or they just... I don't feel like they really gave this book a chance. I mean, I understand. I get that. I totally get the idea of dropping a book. Like, I'm struggling with that with Nick Spencer's Spider-Man, which we're going to talk about tonight. But I just don't think... I don't know. Me reading this, and it might be me being a novice reader for X-Men, but I feel like a lot of people jumped off this book too early. Like, I remember when we first started our collecting into the X storyline after House and Powers, and I was trying to figure out what books I was going to pick up, and at the moment I was like, I might not pick up every book, and like one of the comic shop owners was like, yeah, don't pick up Excalibur, and I'm like, but Apocalypse, like, why would you not? And then Excalibur ended up being a huge part of the Ten of Swords, so thank God I picked it up, and I've enjoyed it. I mean, there's been maybe 3 issues that I was like, meh.
Yeah, not a lot.
So if you're on the fence about Excalibur or you're thinking about dropping it, I wouldn't. I think Howard has a lot more story to tell. And, I mean, there have been many issues within her run that have been really good. Like, when they did the whole, like, different dimensional England where it was being invaded, like, that was a heavy issue. It was like issue 10. That was so good.
Yeah, that was good.
So I have a feeling we're going to get some craziness coming up with the core and obviously with the Hellfire Gala coming up. So... that's my pick of the week, and nice. Yeah, man, go pick yourselves up some Excalibur. It's freaking dope.
Excalibur.
All right, next up, Alien number 1.
Aliens. Speaking of picks of the week.
Yeah, go ahead. This cover freaks me out, dude.
so strange.
What's
so
not strange, dude? Look at that tongue mouth thing.
It's just strange.
The face suckers that look like vajayjays.
Oh my god, you've got to hang up on things that look like private parts.
Private parts. All right,
we don't need to
ahead.
talk about that.
This is your pick of the week, yes?
This is my pick of the week. Speaking of pick of the weeks, this is my favorite new author, as you have heard me say a million times if you watch anything else that we do. So this story takes place basically, I think it's about 50 years after the events in the movies. So
which movies?
The Alien movies.
Okay.
So yeah, Alien canon is kind of strange, and I'm not exactly sure how they're working it out. I've never read a previous Alien comic, so I don't know if those are considered part of canon or not. Marvel owns them now, so maybe they are. I don't know.
Well, let me ask you this: Is Ripley at all in this book?
No.
Is she mentioned in the book?
No.
Okay.
No. Well, the incident is mentioned, but that's about it.
Okay.
But she is not mentioned by name.
Gotcha.
This takes after, I think technically only the first 3 movies do they consider canon, and then the 4th one, I don't know if they consider that canon or not.
What's the 4th one?
The 4th one is where she's resurrected.
And she's like part alien?
She's part alien, and she gives birth to one and all that shit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's get there. Let's go on that.
So, this takes place, I believe the year is like straight up like 2200, I think, is the year. I think they give you a nice even year.
Cool.
Yep, 2200, January 2200.
Cool.
And those events were like 2152, so about 50 years later. Basically, our main character, and I'm never gonna remember names. Gabriel Cruz, that's his name. Our main character was head of security on a ship orbiting Earth, and he is retiring. And we're not sure why he's retiring. He mentions in a thought bubble about a forced retirement, but we're not really sure the details surrounding this retirement. And we basically get glimpses back and forth between what's going on with him, his retirement, his return to Earth, his reuniting with his son. We get glimpses of that, and we get glimpses of a direct run-in that he had with a xenomorph, which is what the aliens are called.
Right.
And it's a really interesting setup because, again, one of the reasons why I like Philip Kennedy Johnson so much is he somehow does all the things that I want in a comic book story. He's usually making some type of social or political commentary. He's usually doing some type of like body horror kind of thing.
Right.
And he's usually writing like really intriguing mysteries, and like real easy page turners. Like you always want to keep going.
Right. And
he manages to do that perfectly here. So basically, we get a few pages of his retirement party. We get a few pages of him basically trapped in something we can't see what it looks like. It's basically a cryopod, and it says he's looking at it from the inside, and someone has written on the outside, "Aliens inside, beware." And he's like super groggy and can't tell what's going on. He reunites with his son after a certain amount of years. We're really not sure exactly how many years it's been that he's been back home, but we get mention of a estranged wife who's no longer here. We don't know if she's alive or if she's passed. But we also get mention of a younger brother who has passed, and the son blames the dad for his passing.
Ooh.
But again, we don't know exactly why. The interesting mystery is that the son is part of this new age. I think at one point they actually say communist, but I can't remember if they were being facetious or not. But like a really new age, like down with the government, down with these big giant corporations that his dad works for. And you're actually not sure what's happening at first, but basically before he goes in to talk to his dad, he's with his girlfriend, and she's like, remember this information, like his card will probably be in the nightstand by his bed, and you just got to get it real quick and then get out of there. You don't have to talk to him for long. And so basically the only reason why the son even shows up to see his dad after he's been gone for so many years is to steal his access card to the station.
Gotcha.
And then we get a further glimpse that the dad has had straight up firsthand personal contact with a xenomorph. He has seen men that he has served with have the face suckers attached to them, and burst out, and all the awesome alien stuff you think of. Actually, you don't really see any of that in this first issue.
It's more like in your brain.
This issue does a fantastic job of scary with the implication.
It lets your brain do the work.
Mm-hmm. And it's really about the shadows and like what you think is going to be around the corner.
You're
like, oh, shit.
It's the worst.
So the way this book ends is the son and his girlfriend and a couple of their punk friends. They storm into this facility, and they're going to liberate the. They think this is basically a data bank area, where there's massive servers storing data. And they're going to release it to the world on the internet, and they walk in and they kick in the door to one of the guard rooms, and a guard turns around and like they have a gun in their hand, but they're not like even aiming it. And they turn around, they're like, "Hey!" And then one of the kids just fucking blows her face off with a shotgun, like blood everywhere, fucking her face smashed in half, like
shit.
And then everyone's like, and then they kill the other guard too, and then they all turn and look at him like, "What the fuck?" And he's like, "Yeah, we can't leave witnesses."
Fuck.
And they're like, "Okay, we didn't know it was going down like that, but all right." And they walk into the facility, and you just see tons of giant liquid tubes of weird-looking creatures, and they're not xenomorphs, but they're just like.
Can we get a picture? Can we?
Yeah, I mean, I could try. It's very obscure. Can you see?
Yeah. I see a tail.
Yeah, it's really hard to tell what they are.
Okay.
Anyway, they break in there and like, what the fuck is this? This is not what we thought it was going to be. They find a big giant door that says Alpha Protocol, like, have to have this kind of access to get in, yada yada. They're trying to figure out how they're going to get in, and a doctor and like two doctors are there. They're like, "Hey, don't shoot us." They're like, "All right, we won't shoot you. You got to let us in right now." And she's like, "Okay, yeah, totally. I just need to say security protocol Lima Victor Echo, and you can get in." And then the security system's like, authority Watkins activated it.
Yeah.
And of course she gets shot by the shotgun too. They blow her up as well. And as soon as they do, the shotgun spray blows open one of the canisters.
Oh no.
And it just so happens that particular canister that got blown open was containing one of the face suckers.
Ooh.
And so the kid that's been blasting everyone in half gets
karma,
face sucked. And the last thing that we see is the son holding up a gun and a face sucker jumping jumping right for him.
Fuck that
so,
shit.
This book was great. It did, again, like I said, it did all the things that I wanted it to. We've got this really interesting underlying story of like political agenda and like commentary about massive corporations hiding information, and is this for the betterment of the public or not?
Right.
We also have a mystery that's not just around the aliens. Like, what happened to the younger son? Why does the son, you're the younger brother, why does the son blame the dad for him dying? How is it that he died? Where's the mom at?
I'm gonna say probably an alien.
That's a really good guess. I feel like that would probably be too easy, but maybe that's what it is. This book was everything I was hoping it would be from Philip K. Kennedy Johnson. And yeah, it was nice. I think it had enough of a nod to the movies, which I haven't probably watched in a decade, that I still noticed it.
Yeah.
But it was a fresh enough story where there's no reason for anyone to say, "Oh, I don't know anything about aliens. I can't pick this up." You don't need to. There's no reason to need to know anything about aliens in order to read this and enjoy it.
At least 2 questions for you.
Yes.
One is, do you suspect that anybody in the group yet is an android?
So we do come across the father speaking to an android therapist a couple of times.
It's not an alien book or movie if there's not an android in it.
Yes, and at one point he talks about how his therapist on the spaceship, he's like, "Oh, I'm not going to get to see you anymore," and he's like, "Oh, don't worry, Gabriel. Like they'll just upload they'll upload our conversations into a new one, and he'll look exactly the same." And he mentioned something about like his scar, and they're like, "Don't worry, they'll fix that for you." And he's having a conversation with him. The scar's on the wrong side, and they're talking about the conversations, and his personality is different. And he mentions, he's like, "You're a lot more curt than the guy was on the spaceship." And he said, "Yeah, people Earthside tend to like it more bluntly here," or something like that.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
That was another thing that was really cool.
And then the second question is, how did you like the artwork? Like, did you?
Okay. So the artwork for me is very challenging.
Okay.
Not that when it's aliens, like there's this spread at the beginning of just fucking all these aliens, goos, and
yeah.
It's amazing. It's so good.
Yeah.
The action sequences, these like, where's there's like all the suspense stuff, like where you see the alien up close, it's like,
right, yeah,
great, amazing. Facial expressions and stuff like that sometimes can be a little off to me,
a little flat,
very flat. The lines are very, very thin. The colors feel very digital. So I would actually say that I don't know if Salvador Larroca is the best for this book, but that's okay, because I think that I'll give him a chance.
So,
see what happens.
Bonus question before we end your review.
Yes.
Are there any variant covers that you're considering picking up on this?
Oh my god. I really wish I had already picked up the Scotty Young. I literally had it in my hands and showed it to you in the store, and I didn't grab it. That one, and then I think there's a 1 per store variant that I really liked that Ron had.
Do you know who did it?
No.
I'm pulling up the covers now because I wanna interject. Like, there are 2 covers. Again, I'm not a huge Aliens fan.
Mm-hmm.
Like, almost not all. I do like the Prometheus movies, and I know a lot of people hate those, but I dig those. Mm-hmm. But there is actually, I think there are 2 covers that I would be like, yeah, I'd buy that. And I don't know if, I know one of them is the Peach Momoko.
See, I'm actually not a big fan of the Peach Momoko.
Oh, I love the Peach Momoko. So let me pull it up really quick.
I just don't like the big giant.
The Queen.
Yeah, I don't like that.
I like that a lot because her Black Cat number 3, I think it was. It was either 2 or 3. It was an alien cover, and I was like, really, I wanted cover A, like we just said, like I'm a cover A hunter. But I actually dug that cover, and I hate aliens because she does the Queen really well. And then I don't know. I saw Stegman. Stegman's.
Yeah.
He
Stegman's
did one.
Good. Yeah.
But I don't know if it's on issue 1 or if it's on another issue. So
it's on issue 1. The Gleason one is the other one I was thinking of. I really enjoy. But honestly, there's a lot. Like, there's a lot of really good ones. Ron Lim has one that I'd be interested in.
There's a Clayton Crane. That one's pretty cool. Let's see. I gotta find the Stegman, though. Ryan Brown. Inhyuk Lee. Well, that's the actual cover. Oh, yeah. Where is it? The Clayton Crane's actually pretty fire.
They don't have it on League.
Oh, that's unfortunate. I saw it and I was like, man, that's a really cool cover. Anyway, I just thought I'd throw that in there. Like, I actually might go back to the shop and pick up the Peach Momoko cover.
Yeah.
I don't know.
LaRocca has his own cover as well. It's the 1 in 25. It's at the very top. I think that is a perfect example. If you look at that book, you see him coloring himself. and it's so dynamic, it's so rich. Like it's just like you feel like that was made from fluorescent light. You know what I mean? Like you're like, whoa, that stands out well. And I just don't know that the colorist, which I don't want to blame the colorist, especially because it's Guru EFX. Like he does a wonderful job. I've seen so much of his work that I've enjoyed, but just wasn't my favorite on half the book.
But you're still gonna pick it up. You're intrigued.
Yeah, I don't. The art could be way worse, and I would still be picking it up because I'm so like, I'm a story first guy anyway, and so I am very interested to see where Johnson's going to take this book.
Is this a limited series or is this an ongoing?
It's an ongoing.
Cool.
Yep. I also find it interesting that there's a father-son issue in here because we have another Philip Kennedy Johnson book later tonight that also has a strong father-son dynamic. And it's a very different
I'm sensing a theme.
Interpretation, yeah. So he has a young son. He has like a 3 or 4 year old son. So you can definitely see a lot of those themes are on his mind. But I just find it so interesting that you see this as like a very negative relationship.
Right.
And that's not
more like if he's not a good father figure, this is how my relationship with my son might be. Could be, yeah. And then vice versa. Cool. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I'm not picking it up, but I'm glad you enjoy it.
Well, it's because you're scared. It's okay.
I don't want the nightmares. All right. Next up, we've got Carnage, Black, White, and Blood #1. This will be a fairly quick review.
Is this the cover that you got?
This is, and I kind of want to go get that other cover, but we'll talk about that later. So we've got 3 stories in this book, as usual, with these Black, White, and Blood. So this is continuing it off of Wolverine. We had a Teenie Howard, a Benjamin Percy, and an Al Ewing story. Out of all 3, my favorite was the Benjamin Percy story. The artwork for the Benjamin Percy story was phenomenal. The artwork for all of the stories in this book are phenomenal. The stories themselves are a little bit more weighted in certain aspects. So Teenie Howard's book is her story is very connected to the Absolute Carnage Spider-Man story, Venom Spider-Man story. Mm-hmm. So if you haven't read that, you will not know what the fuck is going on in that in that story. And I didn't know what the fuck was going on in that story because I haven't read it fully. But essentially, it's a deep dive of what Carnage was going through and thinking during Absolute Carnage, with his fight with Cloak and Dagger, and his relationship with Shriek. And his obsession, love, whatever you want to call it. More Shriek stuff, yes. And I have no idea. I'm very novice to this. So that first story, written well, I just didn't know what the hell was going on. So I can't really give it a fair review and be like, oh, this was phenomenal, or oh, this kind of sucked, because I don't know what's going on. So I'll just critique it on an art-wise. The art for the first story is fantastic. And then obviously the usage of black, white, and red is really good too. The Benjamin Percy story, on the other hand, is my favorite story in this book. And I think, again, there could be some connection. This might actually be a character, but for me, I didn't know. So I just took it as a Carnage story being told, kind of not a generic story, but just one that didn't necessarily have the limits of a previous story told within the Marvel history of Carnage. And so what it was this sheriff who was tracking essentially the Carnage symbiote, but he didn't know. He thought he was tracking a serial killer.
Okay.
The problem, or what he was finding out in the pattern, is that this suspect, this is also in like the Old West, right? So there's no, this is revolvers and Smith & Wesson rifles. What he's finding out in the pattern is the killer is literally just killing people, and not, like it robbed a bank, didn't take any of the money. It went to a theater and just killed a bunch of people. So like he's seeing a pattern. Obviously he doesn't know what symbiotes are, so he's trying to figure it out. And so every time this thing would kill, it was literally like he was making the connection that this person was killing for the fun of it, was just killing to kill, and to see the body count that he could rack up. Well, eventually the sheriff is able to find the symbiote in a cave, or the person. And when he finds the person, the body of that person or the crook has been completely devoured. It's just a skeleton. And so when he looks in the cave, it's the symbiote. And so he fights it. He blows its head off. He tries to fight it, and it looks like it wins. And the symbiote attaches it to himself, takes over the sheriff's body. Yep. And so the dialogue after he gets consumed is the sheriff going, "I was never hunting the symbiote. I was never hunting Carnage. It was hunting me. It was luring me in so that it could make my body the host." And so, at the end of the issue, the sheriff gets on his horse, and he's all carnageized, and he's like, "Wah!" And he's going off to kill more people. And I was like, oh shit, like that was crazy cool. So the Benjamin Percy story in this book was my favorite. Like if I had to pick a story of the week, this was it. And then the Al Ewing book was way different. And if you're a D&D player, you love it. So he wrote it as a dice roll, choose your own story and ending story. So in order to actually read it the proper way that Ewing wanted to read it, you had to have a 6-sided dice, which I thought was kind of funny. It's like not everybody owns a 20-sided dice, so like you can't do that, right? So a 6-sided dice from Monopoly or something is an easier access. So it's a story about the government has gotten hold of Carnage's symbiote, and they've applied it, or they've given it access to a U.S. soldier. And they're trying to see if the soldier can control the Carnage symbiote and become the next super soldier for the U.S. government. But at the beginning of the book, you have to roll for, hit points and willpower points. It's really willpower points. And depending on what you roll and what you roll through the story will dictate where the story ends. So, one story ends with him becoming a hero and becoming Carnage, the hero of the world, and the symbiote that for justice. And then the other ending is him being consumed by Carnage, killing a shit ton of people, and end up in a tank where his skeleton remains, and the Carnage symbiote lives on in containment. But it was really cool. Like I didn't have a 6-sided dice at that point, so I didn't read it that way. I just kind of read it as if I had done those things. But it was a really cool way to experience the book and like jump from like you'd have to turn back into pages to see like what you did because of your role at the beginning of the book. So Ewing was having a little fun there, like doing a little bit of D&D with Carnage in this book. And the artwork was fucking cool too. Like it was just really, really good. So overall, I liked it. It doesn't have clearly as much weight as the Wolverine books because I knew more about Wolverine than I did Carnage. But I think the artwork and the coloring, and depending on the writer, really dictates this book. And I think Benjamin Percy's book had the most emotional weight, and like that story made me care for the sheriff, and then at the end he ends up becoming the Carnage, and you're like, oh shit, like I did not see that coming. So overall I liked it, and I don't know if I can look into it yet or not, but I hope there's a Donny Cates. There has to be a Donny Cates Carnage story. I mean, he wrote Absolute Carnage, you would think. We'll have to see, but I enjoyed it. I really like this cover. But like you said, like if you're not, like you said this before, like you weren't going to read it because you know nothing about Carnage. I totally agree with that assessment. Like, don't waste your time if you don't know Carnage, or you're not into Carnage or symbiotes. This is probably not the book for you. But I liked it.
Gotcha. So by the way, it looks like the writers for issue 2 have been released.
Okay.
Al Ewing is getting a second story. Ram V is getting a story. And not Donny Cates, but you will be happy with this. The Daredevil team of Chip Zdarsky and Marco Cicchetto. Also,
hell yes, that's going to be I bet that's a great story.
And then on issue 3, the only team that's announced is Dan Slott with artist Greg Smallwood.
Okay.
We're not sure who else.
Well, I can get behind the Chip Zdarsky story. Like, fuck yeah.
For sure.
Cool. Well, that's Carnage #1. If you're looking for just a really cool art book too, like this Black, White, and Blood series, I really like. I know that Marvel is copying DC with Black and White Batman, but I don't really give a shit. Like, now DC's going Black, White, and Red Harley Quinn. So they're just clearly like going. They're doing this back and forth thing. But I'm about it because that means I get to buy more comics, so. And I always want to do that.
Yeah.
So that's that. Anything else?
Also, I don't know if you have the covers up for this.
I can.
Well, I was just looking at these because I already had it up for the last time we were looking at covers, and there's some fire covers for this too.
Oh, yes.
There's a Cartageized Surfer.
Yep. Let me pull it up really quick.
How did you not tell me about that?
I don't know if that one is if that's a store exclusive though.
I'm sure it is.
It is fire, and then there is a Peach Momoko.
See, and I don't like that. I really don't like that one. And it looks exactly like the Alien one, just that weird bulbous round shit.
That's her forte, though. Like that's her horror shit coming through her artwork.
I don't like it.
Which I like.
Also, Chichetto is the 1 in 50.
1 in 50. Let's see those are. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Professor Comics picked up the Unhook Lee. I think I saw that. No, he didn't. He picked up the Chichetto 1 in 50. I saw that on his Instagram, which I was like, ooh, that's pretty gnarly.
Nice.
There's a variant that's not on here that the store has, and I don't see it. It's the one that I showed you that, like, I don't know who does it. It's not on here though. Yeah,
I can't remember.
You know which one I'm talking about though, because I showed it to you.
Yeah. I'm just saying I can't remember who does that one.
Oh well.
Anyway,
covers are fire for sure.
Yep.
So that's Carnage #1. So next up. All right, Guardians of the Galaxy. Let's just do this. Let's get it.
Listen. You can't let fingernails ruin a whole.
That's
book
not what.
you.
No. I'll tell you this. That's not what ruined this book for me. But go ahead.
This is the wrap up of the battle against the Greek gods, and they kill the Greek gods.
That's what ruined it for me.
The end.
I am not. Previous issues like Star-Lord coming back, the Moondragon issue, even the issue with Nova and him going to therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Those issues were interesting. I agree with you. Like in our comic book haul video, like nobody cares about the Greek gods. Like Hercules, that's it. I'm good. I don't need anybody else. They feel so forced, and I agree with you with what you said in the comic book haul video. Like somebody at Marvel was like, wrap this up. This is not where we want to go. We need to start. We need to start telling more galactic, cosmic stories, and the Greek gods ain't it. I'm sorry. They just.
Yeah.
And they don't even look like the Greek. Like they would pop up on the page, and I'm like, who's that? I don't know who that is.
Right.
Like.
Yeah, I think
there was no development. There was no development of the characters. That's what I'm trying to say. Sorry.
Yes. I think Al Ewing probably had a few more issues in this run, and this is probably like the combination of 2 issues. It just kind of does feel a little bit compacted.
For sure.
Basically, I mean, there's really not a lot to say about this issue. We get a lot of action, a lot of really fun, cool action. The art in this is fucking amazing. I said it in the comic haul video. I'm pretty sure I showed this page in the comic haul video.
Oh, that's a good page.
This is dope. I am really sad that Juan Cabal is leaving the book. We're going to lose his badass cinematography style.
That was cool.
But basically, we just see all the Guardians coming together to fight off the Olympians. You see Star-Lord kind of use his newly found powers and his ability to, manipulate the all-weapon, or it's not the all-weapon, but whatever his
stars
gun is
and shit like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And we basically just get a wrap-up of what this is. We actually even get a shift, which you don't see a lot in comics right now, is like a 3 months later sort of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we're seeing that the Guardians are finding a central hub. They're all kind of becoming a team together. Everyone was kind of split off. Philovel and Moondragon seemed to be getting along a little bit better.
That was interesting to see them like come to terms with their relationship, and Philovel admitting that she was too quick to judge, that she needs to be accepting of Moondragon, and you shouldn't just be like, no, you're a different person, bye. She was like, no, we need to work. This is a relationship. We need to work on it. And I think I did like that. I thought that was a neat little character development. Yeah,
I am interested to see where we don't have a resolution between Gamora and Star-Lord at all.
Not at all.
And so that I think that's going to be a tension that's going to last for a little bit. But one thing that I found kind of interesting that makes me think that maybe we're missing some panels or some story issues is, unless I missed something, what the hell's Quasar doing here?
Yeah, no, he just pops up out of nowhere.
It's like, oh, hey, Quasar, what's up? You're part of the Guardians now?
New Guardians, let's go!
And I know we've seen him on these preview covers of the new arc, but why'd you have him here?
Well, you know what? At least it was Quasar. At least it was Quasar, and it wasn't and there's Doctor Doom.
There's just Doom, and you're like, wait, what?
Oh yeah.
It's not a big deal, but that it's just things like that make me think maybe we missed something. That something was cut out.
But I'll tell you that those last 3 pages or 2 pages, whatever it is, felt more cohesive than this entire Greek god thing. I was like, that has energy. That feels good. And I mean, shit, between 12 and 1, basically issue 4 through 11 had better storytelling than the original arc of these people coming in and playing. It just felt like Ewing was told by Marvel, wrap it up, get these guys out of here. There's no point. Let's actually tell some cosmic stories.
And I will say, I think I might have said this on our haul video as well, but I am super happy that just because this didn't go maybe exactly the way they were thinking, they didn't just go, Ewing, you're out. We got to get a new guy in. Let's do another Guardians #1. We got to start this. I'm so glad that Al Ewing is still on the book, because when it comes to cosmic stories, I still trust him above anyone else.
Oh, I mean,
that's maybe Dan Slott, and that's it.
That's being shown right now in Sword. I mean, look what he did with Manifold. Nobody really knew what Manifold was doing, and it's
well, yeah, his other work clearly is what's carrying him, right? Sword and
Hulk,
Immortal Hulk. He has shown, and plus he has other books. We were just talking about the complete collection of the Ultimates is coming out in a couple months. The dude knows Marvel Cosmic, and so
look at his independent one. We only find when they're dead. Shit, that's fucking heavy too.
Yeah. So I am glad to see the end of the era here, and I'm ready to start the next chapter in our Guardians journey.
Yeah, I'm ready for more cosmic adventures. I'm ready for Manifold folding stars and punching a void god in the chest. And I know we're gonna get that in the next Guardians book. So yeah, I agree with everything you said there.
Again, fantastic art. So sad to see him go.
Okay. Okay. All right, we want to talk about some controversy. Actually, there's not really any controversy in this book. Amazing Spider-Man 62. Lou, are you here? I hope you're here. If you're not, you'll see this later. Professor Comics. This book has potential. It has potential.
You've heard that before.
It does. So there are 2 stories in this book. There is the Boomerang and Spider-Man and their little alien pet story, and then there's James Jonah Jameson and somebody, again, I don't know, I'm lost a little bit, but it's a person that I guess bought out or is now in charge of the Daily Bugle.
Okay.
There's a storyline there, and I'm gonna butcher this, but the only reason I'm butchering is because I'm so over it. The Boomerang Spider-Man story, or the action in this book, is actually really good. You've got classic Spidey, like, acting like himself, thinking quick on his feet, trying to figure out the situation so shit doesn't get out of hand. And that's what that is. And what happens is his Bullseye takes a shot at Boomerang's little pet and shoots his collar off. And if the collar comes off, it becomes an uncontrollable monster. And Spidey, at the last second, is able to calm down the monster, put the collar back on, and save, you know, the city from being destroyed by a giant kaiju monster. Great. Cool. Awesome. Great. That was great. The majority of this book is between the new editor-in-chief or owner of the Bugle and Jonah talking about, hey, have you seen my new, like, subscription service for Spider-Man suit where you can see him, you know, fight crime? And the guy's like, yeah, not about it, sorry. And he goes, well, you need to evolve. You need to evolve the newspaper. You're just going to be left in the dust. And they have this big argument. The big, you know, supposed oh shit moment of this book is the dude's son, the newspaper kid guy, his son is dating a new chick, a new girl, and she ends up being the Beetle, I think is the name of the character. So she's a supervillain.
Okay.
And also, if I'm not mistaken, again, I'm pulling because I haven't read this entire series. The son is also a roommate of Spider-Man and Boomerang. So he's kind of the Kingpin. This is where this comes in. Again, this is going to sound so convoluted and so jacked up, but dude, literally, this is how this book reads. Is Kingpin has put a hit on Boomerang and this other kid and not Spider-Man. So the hit is on his roommates and not himself. And so the Hitman, I don't know the name of the character. I don't know if it's at the beginning of the book, but he's like a bodyguard for Kingpin. He was in the Spider-Verse movie, but he didn't really have a big a role in it, or like didn't talk a lot. I don't think they don't have like a character guide.
Okay.
I don't know the name of the character. He's basically gray and has white hair, and he's just got like he's like muscle, like he's like the muscle guy. Apparently, his daughter is Beetle.
Great.
So we find that out, but what we find out is Kingpin has basically given this villain the hit to take out Boomerang and the other roommate. So when he goes to take out the other roommate, who's the son of the Daily Bugle editor-in-chief, I know I'm butchering this, he finds him on the rooftop kissing his daughter, who's the Beetle. So there's like, uh-oh, I gotta take this kid out, but he's dating my daughter. Great. Awesome. Who cares? Like, this says Amazing Spider-Man on the fucking cover. But it's not, like, the jaw-dropping moment for this book is a character that I don't give a fuck about. I don't care. And this book, I think, would have been 10 times better if that wasn't, like, that's where we're going. Like, that's the next little story that we're going into before the king size or giant size annual or giant size issue of King Ransom. And I just don't get it. It doesn't feel like Spider-Man. It just doesn't. This book has, I told you today at work, this book should be called The Amazing Spider-Man and His Associates. That's what this book should be.
Yeah.
That's what it should be called. It just doesn't feel like Spider-Man. It feels like Nick Spencer is telling a story, like a story that I think if it wasn't Spider-Man would probably be fantastic. But the expectation of Peter Parker being in this book, he's just not here. He's not. And it's about his friends. It's about his roommates. And it's about these characters that I don't give a flying flip about. I don't. And yeah, I will be dropping this after King's Ransom, giant size. I can't do it anymore. And that makes me incredibly sad because I really like Spider-Man. And there are just other, we got Chip Zdarsky's Spider-Man book coming out that I know is going to be fantastic. Nonstop Spider-Man for me, I really like. And then, there has been rumors that Donny Cates is going to be writing a new Spider-Man book. So we'll see. I'm not happy, folks. I'm not happy. Very interesting.
Not happy.
No. So that is ASM 62. I try really hard not to dog it, and I feel like I'm just tired of not of not having a good Spider-Man book, and I don't ever want to shit on anybody's stories or ideas, but it's just too easy for this book. And so, you know, I'm going to pull it from my pull list so that I don't have to do that anymore. So that I don't have to, you know, I can let, you know, not that my opinion matters or gives two shits about, but I know that there are a lot of people, you know, on the internets, on the Googles that don't like this book, and they're making their opinion known about it. And I'm trying, I just don't want to be that. I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to dog it anymore. So I'm probably going to continue to pick up the book up to king size, but I don't know if I'm going to do the reviews anymore for the show. I think I'm just going to, hey, I'm picking this up. I'll let you know in our comic book haul from the next video if I liked it or not. That's it. Like, I don't want to waste the time, and I don't want to shit on Spencer's ideas and make that readily available on the internet. I just don't think it's productive. So
yeah, I get it.
Sorry.
Totally get it.
All right, tell me about Action Comics Superman.
All right, back to Philip Kennedy Johnson and his stories about father-son relationships.
Before we get into it, though, I forgot. Yeah. Okay. Just to let everybody know, on the show, and anyone that's watching this on YouTube, Nate and I have made an executive decision, a.k.a. we want more content for the channel. We are going to start adding more DC books to the show. So anybody that is just, you know, look at this. Next book after this is going to be Detective Comics. Next book after that is going to be Teen Titans. Next book after that is going to be Harley Quinn. We're picking up Batman. We're picking up Superman. We are committing to the DC books.
Last week too.
Nightwing, Justice League. We're going to do it all, baby. We are... We're jumping into DC, and we're super excited, and I think obviously Ron is super excited at the store because that means we're spending more monies. But no, you know, you're gonna tell me about this book, but I can just tell you right now, folks, our fat man, our two fat guys army, whatever you want to call yourselves, all you fatties out there that watch our show, we want to let you know that we're bringing in the DC more than just one or two books. We're going in on it. And we're going to have more reviews of these books, and we're super excited about it because I can tell you right now, we're really liking what we're reading. So,
well, and I do want to say one thing too.
Yeah.
One of the things that I think is kind of one of our shticks, but especially so with DC, is that we are fairly new comic readers. James has a little bit more, you know, experience than I do, but like I literally did not buy my first comic book. Besides my Coheed and Cambria comics, which I bought because I was a fan of the band. Besides those, I didn't buy my first comic until I was 28 years old. So one of the things I think we offer is just comics through a new lens. Sometimes we have background information, but a lot of times we can only offer you what the comic is giving, right? So if a comic just solely relies on its 80-year history to make it good, but its writing isn't actually good, it's probably not going to be very good to us because we're not going to get it. That's even more so with our DC books. So there are going to be sometimes that we say things that are maybe like, you're like, oh, guys, you guys don't know that? That's like total obvious continuity. Yeah, we don't know that. We don't. So a lot of these stories are really going to make or break based off of how good the actual story is versus, you know, oh, is this a fan service to previous storylines or things from comics? So we don't know.
Yep. Totally. I totally agree with that statement.
That being said, I had a really good time reading this Action Comics Superman book.
Hey.
So this was the second part of what I think is just a two-part arc between Superman and Action Comics. Johnson is writing both books, but I'm not sure that they're going to jump back and forth every single time.
Yeah.
But this one they are. So we pick back up where we left off with Superman essentially finding out that the people on this space station were the ones creating the rift and purposefully not closing it at first, essentially so they could study the effects that the rift and that these aliens were having on Superman.
Gotcha.
Because while Jonathan was basically invulnerable to these like you would expect, Superman's kind of getting his ass kicked. At one point he's got like it kind of looks like a chunk kind of torn out of his cheek, and he's like bleeding throughout the whole issue.
Oh no.
Yeah. And in this issue we get a lot of internal dialogue from Clark about how there's this golden age, and that's the name of this arc. There's this golden age when your child thinks that you are infallible, or you're Superman, which I think is funny because
Yeah.
in this case he literally is.
Right.
And he's like, there's always going to come a time when your child realizes that you're not unbreakable, that you
have fault.
You do have fault, and that things can happen to you, and sometimes those things can be frightening, or those can be worrisome.
Mm-hmm.
And so while you do get a lot of really cool action scenes of them just kind of punching and laser beaming some aliens, you also see this internal dialogue from Superman, and you also get sort of these heroics from Jonathan. He realizes that they basically come to realize that the only way that this can be this rift in space can be fully sealed is if it's sealed from the inside. And at first Clark is like, well, I gotta go in, and they've got this big laser beam they pulled off the space station, and he's like, I guess I'm gonna go in and we'll see if I can find my way back to Earth.
Oh shit.
And this is a pathway to another dimension. He doesn't even know where it is. He's just like, we'll see if I can get back. And Jonathan's like, yeah, fuck that. And so he takes the laser from his dad, goes through the portal, points it at the break, and shoots it, and then flies faster than the laser beam.
Oh shit.
And bursts out the side back into Earth, or back into space, just as it hits the rift and seals it back.
Holy shit, that's cool.
It was pretty cool little event. And then Clark and Jonathan just land back down on Earth, and Clark literally tells him a story about this time that he sees. I don't remember what his adopted dad's name is, but he said, there's a time when he fell off of a ladder and kind of hurt himself, and I was trying to make excuses. Oh, well, the wind was blowing, and oops, that ladder was rickety because I didn't tighten the screws on it. Like, Clark was trying to, this is teenage Clark, and he's trying to find any reason why he could make up for his dad not being embarrassed that he fell, and his dad was literally like, nope, I'm a human too, and I make mistakes, and I'm susceptible to falling and getting hurt just like anyone else is. Like, I'm not just this infallible being that's going to be around forever.
Right.
And Jonathan clearly more than other people is struggling with this because he has seen in the future that his dad is going to die, and it was supposed to be around this time. And yeah, so they had a really good conversation. That's pretty much the end of their two stories. We get a couple of pages at the end of some villains. One is a guy with like a weird body that kind of looks similar to Cosmic Ghost Rider, but his head is actually a vat with a baby inside of it.
Show it.
Like an infant.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, it's weird. So I don't know if it's the speech bubbles are coming out of the infant's mouth. Yeah. So I don't know. And then there's this guy as well.
That's if I'm not mistaken, that's a current character, or that's an old school character. I don't know who it is, but I think he's like the leader of Murder World or something like that. Like, it's a tournament world.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with him in the slightest bit, but that's where we're going with the story next. I'm not sure what it is, but I'm interested to find out.
Is it continuing with the Sun, or is it with Superman?
I believe it's with Superman. It doesn't say, so I'm not sure. I think one book is going to follow one more than the other as they go, but I'm really not sure, exactly what all this is going to do, because this was just my first intro. These are the first Superman comics I've ever read, so right. As far as stories go, these were great stories. They just happen to be Superman characters, but they could have been anyone. That could have been a Batman and a Robin. That could have been a Mr. Fantastic and Franklin Richards. Like, it would have had the same effect.
Right.
Well, and that's good. It's a good story.
That's like what you said before. Like, when we started this segment, was these stories for us are going to be more based on who's writing them and how well, which really is can be applied to Marvel too, but we just have a little bit more of a connection with Marvel because we know those characters better. Right. So, you know, the writing for these books are going to have a much more harsher implication to whether we're going to like them or not, because the writing's not there. We're just going to be like, why are we doing this? You know, and we're going to say that about the next book. So
nice. Which is the next book?
The next book is Detective Comics, Batman Detective Comics, number 1034.
What cover did you end up getting for this one?
Cover A.
Oh, of course you did.
Well, and here's the reason why. So I went to the store, and only on the rack they had cover B. Yeah. But then when I went to the cash, the front, you know how Ron's got the comics on the wall, and I was like,
you made RJ give you the cover A off the wall.
Correct.
Got it.
And it was she had a really hard time getting it off, and I feel bad, but I got cover A.
You always give her such a hard time.
I know. Anyway, this Detective Comics is also dealing with what happened in Batman 106. Kind of, in the sense that we're still following the new mayor, we're still following the conception of the magistrate, and will it be formed or not. We're dealing with the fallout of the Joker War. We're dealing with the fallout of Bruce no longer being a billionaire, but more like a millionaire, and him living in a neighborhood with other, you know, I wouldn't say elites, but social elites. Like they've got some money that they don't have to live downtown, or they don't have to live in Gotham. They can live kind of out of it. Mm-hmm. And we're also dealing with Batman still. You know, he doesn't have his Batcave anymore. He doesn't have his mansion, so he's had to set up mini caves through the Gotham sewers to, you know, diversify where all of his equipment is. So what I really enjoy about this book, I mean, we get action, we get is this the one who attacks in this one? I can't remember.
The Party Crashers.
So the Party Crashers are in this book, and I think the Party Crashers, let me see, I need to go back. I'm sorry, I apologize.
Yeah, even though Batman 106 is a couple of weeks old, we read them both. I read them both literally back to back. So yeah,
is this the book that? No, in the other book, it's not the Party Crashers. It's in 106. It's someone else. But in this book, Bruce is at a fundraiser event for the new mayor, and the Party Crashers crash the party. They're remnants of the Joker War. You know, they're clown themed, but they're not stealing money. They're not stealing jewelry. They're stealing everybody's phones. Yep. So Batman makes a note of that, and the mayor basically, I don't think he sees Bruce turn into Batman, like see him escape it, but I think the guy that's basically coming up with the magistrate sees it. Like he kind of like, in a little quick glance, he realizes that Bruce is leaving the scene in a non-characteristic way of what someone should be doing when is being attacked, like by a group. Yep. So he saves the day, and the mayor is a little pissed about it because he's wanting to stop. He doesn't want to rely on Batman. He doesn't want to rely on vigilantes. He wants to have a better, you know, he wants more control. Where the magistrate, which is a group that was kind of introduced in the future state, where they were actually running the show, and they were, you know, masks are illegal in the future. So we're heading in that direction. But Batman saves the day. The latter half of this issue is, and this is where I think this issue shines so well. So, you know, in previous Batman comics and in movies, you know, Batman is not one to necessarily socialize outside of his social class, right? Yeah. And in this book, he's forced to basically mingle with his neighbors, right? And and what he realizes is that his neighbors aren't really affected too much by what happens in Gotham crime-wise. It's more of like conversation fodder for them. You know, they talk about what happened in Gotham and how tragic it is, but it really doesn't affect them. So he's visualizing Gotham from another perspective in that sense. And he's realizing that, you know, not everybody deals with what he deals with on the streets of Gotham at night, you know? And the other thing I like is that, you know, he's got this neighbor, this flirty neighbor that is like, hey, we're having a party and you should come so you can get to know your neighbors better. Because the perception is that Bruce is a recluse. He doesn't want to talk to anybody. He just wants to keep to himself. So he goes to the party, and the best part about it is he's having this inner dialogue when he meets a new neighbor, and he already has a complete file in his brain of what that person is, what they do, their personality type, and if they're boring or not. And I just really liked that character development in this book. Like, it's actually nothing to do with the action in this book, and it's more of like seeing Bruce interact with people that, again, are not in his social circle, whether it's vigilante or money. I really enjoyed that. I liked his social commentary on it and how he had everybody broken down, kind of like Sherlock Holmes, just kind of like ABC for you, ABC for you, ABC for you. I don't think that person likes me. Move on. But he can't say those things out loud. He's got to be social in the moment. So he's just having this internal dialogue of like, why am I wasting my time? Right. And then the issue basically ends with, Gotham crime coming into his neighborhood, and it's not looking good. And so Batman, now he has a little bit of intrigue for his neighborhood. The crime has come to him, so now he's suddenly he's interested with his neighborhood. The other thing I'll say is the artwork on this book is fan-fucking-tastic.
That's what I was just about to say. You know who this reminds me of? The style? This reminds me so much of Chichetto, the current Daredevil work. I
totally agree.
Especially this character that I don't remember her name. Whatever. The main girl that bugs him and invites him to the party.
Redhead, the vegan.
Her expressions, like I looked and I was like, man, that almost looks like Chichetto doing Elektra. I really enjoy this art. It's really good.
It's really good, and the other thing I get is he's trying to make it. I'll go back to the Party Crashers. There's a void that's been left with the Joker War, and so like there's some food chain consequences happening within the crime within Gotham. So he's trying to figure that out. I think that's a pretty big deal too. But yeah, he's got something to solve now within his known neighborhood. Someone's been kidnapped, and he needs to figure it out. And it's somebody. Here's the big thing: the person that was kidnapped is a very influential person tech-wise. Like I think they're telecommunications. They're part of a company that deals with that kind of technology. Which in previous in the issue, the Party Crashers were taking over people's phones. So there's clearly a connection there. So he's got to make that connection. Yeah. The other thing that's in this book is a Robin story, a continuation from Batman 106, with Robin. I don't remember which Robin this is.
This is Damian Wayne.
Damian Wayne. He is, trying to figure out, does he want to be an assassin for his mother, and get into this tournament for the League of Shadows and Lazarus and all this jazz, or does he want to be a detective? Does he want to be Robin? And it just continues that story. And I haven't been a fan of the backup stories in some of these DC books that we've been reading. I mean, not that I'm not a fan. I don't know what the hell's going on. But this Robin story that we've read in Batman and now in Batman Detective Comics,
very good.
I'm very intrigued, and I might be adding Robin.
Well, and this is supposed to be the 2-part mini that leads up to his ongoing. Yeah. So also, just very quick, because we're so uneducated, and because I wanted to do just a little bit of research.
Yeah.
So for anyone else who's new to DC and uneducated, Damian Wayne is the son of Bruce Wayne and Talia al Ghul, the daughter of Ra's al Ghul.
Yep. League of Shadows.
But they are not the Damian Wayne was not conceived in normal ways. He was basically those two never had relations. That's not how he was conceived. It was like he's like a test tube baby.
Oh, okay. I was like, dude, what are we talking here? We doing
immaculate conception.
I was like, what the fuck, dude?
He's Jesus incarnate. No, they basically he's basically like a test tube baby.
Okay.
From what I understand, they somehow got Bruce's genetic material and purposefully made Damian to like carry on the Al Ghul legacy, the demon legacy or whatever. I'm that part I'm very fuzzy on, but
okay.
I was just curious about where exactly he was from and what was going on with him. So that is my 30-second Wikipedia entry for
Dope.
Damian Wayne.
And there will be a lot more of those as we read more DC comics.
Yes. I've been listening to mucho podcasts trying to get caught up on the most brief, basic DC history.
Nate is still awake because there is caffeine literally injected into his veins as we're speaking right now, Maddie. Maddie says, I want to know how Nate is still awake in the chat. So
it's called Java.
It's a cafe. Anyway.
Nothing in here. I drink it all.
All right. Next up, we've got Teen Titans Academy #1. This was I feel like it was a meh issue. I'm going to continue to read it because the thing that has got me is this Red X mystery.
Yes.
So Red X is revealed, and I think we kind of knew this if you watched Teen Titans on the Cartoon Network, that it's Dick Grayson. It's his alter ego. It's what he did. When he wasn't Nightwing and when he was, felt abandoned by the team. He felt like he needed to go rogue. You finally got coffee? He's been drinking coffee, bro.
Oh yeah, I was complaining about how I didn't have coffee this morning.
Oh, gotcha. So, this is clearly, it clearly is DC riding the coattails of Marvel, and, they're doing Strange Academy, so Teen Titans Academy. I will say, I think, this book I feel like would have more of a impact for me outside of the Red X mystery if I knew the characters. Strange Academy to me has got the allure of cosmic magic, Doctor Strange, Magic the character, Wanda. Like, there's just a lot of heavy hitters in that book. Mm-hmm. And for me, Teen Titans is just not... They're okay. They're okay. But I think it's a solid effort on DC's part to write something similar. We're trying to introduce these new characters. We're trying to introduce, levels of Titans, whether you're a student or you're actually on the Teen Titans, or if you've been on the Teen Titans and you're grown up, right?
Right.
But for me, the big mystery, or the big, like, ooh, I'm intrigued, is this Red X persona. So everyone finds out in the school that Red X was Dick Grayson, and that, Dick kind of looks at it as like a mistake. It was just a lack of judgment when he was that persona, and he just wants to move on, and he wants everybody at the school to realize that this isn't what being a hero means. It's it's about teamwork and trust and all this jazz. And Gem Mint did a review on this book, and I think, again, we talked about this. I think he misinterpreted the end of the book.
Okay.
And I'm not trying to call Gem out at all. I'm not. No, I'm just saying, like, I watch his videos to get more insight on some books, because I know that there are other people on YouTube that have way more insight on these books than I do. So when I was listening to him talk, one of the gifts that Grayson gets for his birthday is the original Red X mask, and he doesn't know who it's from, and so it kind of throws him off a little bit. And in the training simulator earlier, someone reprogrammed the training simulator to have Red X in it, so he had to fight that off and like tell the students, like, listen, this isn't, this is some kind of game. Don't be impressed by this. He may look cool, but it's not a thing. You should just give up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the book ends where we can't find the mask. Nightwing can't find the mask, and the issue ends with somebody wearing the mask slamming into a mirror.
Yeah.
And they're wearing a wife beater. And I took that as he still had the mask, and he's dealing with like a double persona. He's dealing with like a what's the word? Not schizophrenic. What's multi-personal? Bipolar, yes. Like he's got two sides of his psyche fighting in his body. And so I took it as he's still Red X. That's how I took it.
Oh, see, that's not how I took it.
Okay.
So when you told me about Jim's interpretation, I hadn't read the book yet.
Okay.
I very much think it's that little kid that ran past him.
It probably is.
But I mean, who knows?
I'm taking it as it's Grayson still like having Red X tendencies.
It could, and we also don't know. So Dick Grayson just went through something in Joker War.
Yeah.
I don't even know exactly what it was. I think it was kind of bad. I mean, it was alluded to in the Nightwing issue we read.
Mm-hmm.
But he was very involved in Joker
When
War.
that book came out, I don't know if it's been 2 weeks or a week. That would have been my pick of the week. That week.
Yeah, that was
we had
a
been
really
reading.
good book.
It was so good.
So that definitely could be it. I mean, that could be that he's still struggling from some of the issues that happened during
Joker War.
Joker War.
That's what I think. I could be wrong. Jim might have been spot on, and it's one of the new recruits, one of the new students at the academy that's actually pretending to be Red X. That could be it. Mm-hmm. But my money's on it's actually Grayson still dealing with some kind of trauma, and he's using the Red X persona to work through it. And I think we're gonna get Red X in Teen Titan Academy as a teacher, and it's gonna be him, and we're gonna be like, who's the teacher? That's what I think it's gonna be. Overall, it was a meh. It was a kind of meh, but positive. Like, I want to keep on giving it a shot because we are trying to immerse ourselves more into DC books so we can have more content for y'all to enjoy on our channel, whether it's here on Twitch or on YouTube. And it's just us trying to stretch out an olive branch towards the content. And like, we love comics, so we want to read more comics. And if we're already kind of full on Marvel, why not start on DC? Because we've got our independence, and we go into the shop and we're like, yeah, I want to read that, but I just don't know what's going on. Well, fuck it, let's just jump in and we'll
read it. Let's figure it out.
We'll figure it out. That's the hobby, and and Ron is helping us out through that. He's helping us in this journey of getting to know our DC characters. So we're really, really excited to continue to open up more DC books. And speaking of more DC books, it's our last DC book on the list, and that is Harley Quinn #1.
I was like, what?
And this will be a short one too. So this is also dealing with the aftermath of the Joker War, which we haven't read. I guess we're gonna need to read that. But essentially, after the Joker War, Quinn is she's trying to become a good guy, and so she is working under Batman's wing, whether Batman likes it or not. And so in this book, she's got a list of people that she's trying to make amends with that she may have wronged. So, any other supervillains like Killer Croc, and or, city officials, stuff like that. And so this book is crazy and zany. The artwork is all over the place. I fucking love it. I think some people are turned off by the artwork. I think the artwork in this book is so good. The colors are great. You definitely get like a Deadpool vibe. Not necessarily talking to the camera, but she's just fun and she's funny. And her interactions with Batman are just hilarious. And Batman's like, look, I need you to straighten up. Like, no clown shit. And she's like, yes, sir. The best part about this book is when Batman's telling her, like, hey, I need you to either settle down or, work on your people skills. At one point, she's like, all right, cool, I'm working for you. So where's my stipend? And Wayne's like, what are you talking about? Like, Batman's like, what are you talking about? It's like, well, like Batgirl and Robin, like, they get money from you, right? Like, where's that Batman money? I need to move out of this apartment. I need a toaster. I need all this stuff because I know that there's when you work with Batman, you get a stipend. And Batman's like, nope, that's not how it works.
That's not a thing.
So she goes off and she gets on a call for, someone's beating up a dude who actually was part of the Joker War. Like, I guess there's a lot of individuals that were got caught up in the Joker War, misfits that weren't necessarily really part of it, but they got involved in it. And so they have like tattoos from the Joker War, and they don't know how to get rid of them. So they're being bullied. So like clowns are very stigmatized to the point where like the public is beating up on people that were caught up in the Joker War that aren't necessarily, they're not innocent, but they're not they're not a crime person. So gotcha. she fends off one of them and tries to help them. And in doing so, Batman shows up and part of it and is like, what are you doing? And she's like, I'm trying to save this guy. He's getting his ass kicked for no reason. And he's like, okay, cool. And so he leaves off. He gets a call to leave, and she's like, "All right, you heard Batman. Like, I'm going to try to help you out. I'm working for him." And the kid goes, "Yeah, I don't think so. Like, he never said one thing about him." She's like, "No, it's an unspoken bond that we're working together." And so, like, even the public's like, "Harley, what are you doing? Like, you're a bad guy." And she's like, "No, I'm trying to be good." Well, the issue ends with her going, "What? Say what?"
Is it interesting?
So the issue ends with her going back to her apartment, right? And, you know, when she was talking to Batman in her apartment, she was talking about the stipend, and then she said something about a toaster, a Batman toaster. So when she gets back to her apartment, there's a gift on her floor, and it's a Batman toaster that Batman left her. So he's actively trying to, you know, without really putting too much investment into it, he's trying to make her feel more welcome in being a crime fighter rather than a criminal. And so she gets her Batman toaster at the end of this book, and I was like, "Oh, that's cute." Like, there, you know, he's trying to be nice. So now her toast can have the bat signal on it. I thought it was really cool. And then at the end of the issue, who pops up? Somebody. The government is trying to. They're trying to take care of more of these Joker War remnants, and so they have enlisted the help of Hugo Strange, which I vaguely know, but the reveal for me wasn't like, "Oh, it's Hugo." I was like, "Oh, I kind of know who that is," and it's basically it's a character that knows the identity of Bruce Wayne, and he's like a psychotic genius. Right. But he's on the case to get rid of these. This makes my heart warm. Yeah, I don't know. I'm glad it does, Maddie. So he's on the case to get rid of some of these clowns, and so I think Harley's gonna have to try to like save the remnants of the people of the Joker War that were a little bit more innocent than criminal. And I just liked it. The artwork is phenomenal. I think it's really good. It's not on par with Batman or Detective, but it looks like what the cover looks like. It's just crazy and wacky, and it's really good. And it makes me like. I know a lot of people are down on Harley Quinn in the DC community, but for me, I really enjoyed it. I thought I like the character of Harley Quinn, and I know she's got another book that came out this week that I picked up because the cover was amazing, but I am going to read it once I get caught up. Is Batman White Knight Harley Quinn, because in that book she's like seriously becoming one of like Batman's sidekicks, basically.
That's like an Elseworlds story, right? Yeah,
it's like a black label book. Okay. And anyway, I'm about it. I like the character Harley Quinn, and I like it. I like those story arcs where it's once a villain and now they're trying to become good, but they're a little rough on the edges. This is what this book is, and I really dig it. So I will continue to pick up Harley Quinn.
Nice.
So that ends our DC books for the week, and we've got one more book. It's our only independent for the week, and we will get through it fairly quickly. And that is number 3, issue 3. I think both of us were expecting something completely different from this book, and we got something completely different from this book. You know, this issue deals with Remy the Mime, and there are no words in this issue.
Sense. I mean, having a book about a mime being a silent issue, I think makes total sense.
Yep.
I just don't know what the hell they were trying to say.
Okay, so the issue looks exactly like this cover. It's very cartoony.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'll say, what it does perfectly is what the past 2 issues of AHA has done, which is it gets you into this false sense of security within the story. You think it's one thing, and then it turns itself on its head by the end of the issue, right? Yep. The only issue is like issue 1, when that happened, it was psychedelic, it was freaky, and it left you feeling very just
eerie, but like
you just didn't feel comfortable. But you wanted to know more. You're like, well, where's this gonna go?
Yeah.
Right, and then in issue 2, it was less cosmic or less funky and less psychedelic and more like real world,
psychological too.
Yeah, and just like it made you feel like, man, like this could be a story about anybody right now, currently.
Right.
And it left a bad taste in your mouth, and it made you feel like, fuck, the world is dark, right? This issue was like, hey, it's cartoon world, and it literally felt like a cartoon. And then at the very end, there's like a very heavy dose of reality, and so it slams you into the ground. But I think that I will say, and again, we could be totally off on the interpretation of this book, and maybe we're just not at that higher level of thinking to really understand what's going on in this book. But to me, when that happened, I was like, oh, well, I feel like whatever. Like, I guess, sure.
Yeah, I mean, basic.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say the basic premise is there's this mime. He's not very good. He's a street performer. He's not very good. He doesn't make good money. He goes to a scrap heap, finds a robot, and they become super successful street performers together. And they're so happy and they love each other. And then one day, someone comes and says that, oh, he's the property of this other company, and they take him back. The mime's really sad, and then he says, I'm gonna go get him. So he breaks into this place and finds them dismantling the robot. And he's like, oh shit, I don't like that. And he mimes that he's going to shoot the cops, and then the cops just shoot him and kill him.
And actually kill him. Woo!
Oh,
yeah, like that. The mime's actually like... So, before he does that, he runs around and like... He's actually very evasive of like stealing the robot, and it looks like he's going to get out with the robot. And then the cops corner him, and the robot is like, looks at him like, hey, do your act. Like when I read that part, I was like, oh shit, maybe he actually kills the cops. Like that's when I was getting
happen.
Yeah, and I guess that's the part of the haha that is the expectation is that it's so weird that he would actually kill them through miming. And so when I read that, I was like, oh, he's gonna pull out his finger guns and go pew pew and actually kill the cops. But what really happens is the cops go pew pew, and he actually gets killed, and the robot like watches his friend's life just like get sucked out of his eyes. Mm-hmm. And I think the only words he actually says in the book is him going pew pew, right? Like, what does he say when he dies?
Bip.
Yeah, Bip. He says the robot's name. And so then the issue ends with a little girl that he had met during street performing who finds his hat. And she looks at the book, or at the reader, and goes pew pew, and then that's how the issue ends.
She puts his bloody hat on. She's in the same scrap heap that he found the robot.
The robot, yeah.
She puts his hat on, and she goes pew pew. And I'm like, but I mean, is this supposed to mean like the cycle always repeats, or like?
I don't know. Yeah, this one to me felt. I think you either really like this, like pop culture philosophers like this was his pick of the week, or you're like, yeah, this was his pick of the week.
Oh.
Yeah. And maybe I need to read it again, but I just wasn't like, there were no Easter eggs from previous books like we did in the first 2 issues. It just felt really weird. It fell out of place, and maybe we're just not accustomed to Prince's style, where he jumps out of these different stories, because that's the other thing. The one thing I will appreciate about haha as a series is that every issue is a self-contained story, mostly. Like, there are little, like we were saying, Easter eggs like in issue 2, but each issue is like its own little story, right? So like, you don't necessarily have to have read 1 to really get the gist of issue 2, outside of like the Easter eggs that we were talking about. And the same can be said about haha number 3. Like, you don't have to have read issue 1 or 2 to really get the gist of what's going on in haha 3. And I will say that that's a positive.
Just like Ice Cream Man, it's like an anthology book.
Yeah. So, this doesn't deter me from picking up the last 3 issues. I'm going to continue. Like the next issue, the cover looks fucking freaky, and like, we want to continue to support independent creators, so we're going to continue to pick up this book. But this issue just wasn't there for me, unfortunately.
No, it's all right.
So that'll be the end of our pulls this week. It was a decent sized week. Next week, I think we got some pretty good books. I think it's actually really good next week, but you'll have to find out in our comic book haul video on YouTube next Wednesday, because we are not going to tell you what we're picking up, because we want you to watch our videos on YouTube. And if you're watching this on YouTube, again, remember, subscribe and hit that bell, enter our giveaway so you can win some slabs. We got some good ones. Watch our previous videos on YouTube, and if you're watching this on Twitch, go over to our YouTube page right now. Subscribe. What are you doing? But that being said, like we say always, be safe out there. Wear a mask when you're out shopping, going to your comic book store, and as always, please read some more comics. See you guys later.
See ya.